So I was born in Aachen, Germany, but since the age of 3, I grew up in Freiburg im Breisgau in the Black Forest. And my roots are quite international since my father is German-Spanish with a little bit of Chinese blood, and my mother, she is Chinese from Malaysia, so I basically grew up between both countries. I'm the only child, and both my parents are musicians, so I was very fortunate to grow up in a very musical world. My mother, she's a pianist, piano pedagogue and a cellist, and my father is a pianist and also used to play the violin, and now he's a conductor and choir director. So basically my mother, she was, for many years, she was my chamber music partner, and we always played many violin and piano works together. That was very enriching, and it helped me a lot facing new challenges especially, and being able to play flexibly in many chamber music formations nowadays. My two main cities worldwide were Freiburg im Breisgau and Penang in Malaysia. Obviously, both cities and both countries are very different. Malaysia is my second home, and despite it being all exotic, every time when I land and arrive to Malaysia, I immediately feel some kind of homey feeling. It is a melting pot of many different cultures, and in a way in Southeast Asia there's always a lot of noise, but in a positive way. And Freiburg to me always had this wonderful surrounding nature, a calmness which cannot be compared to Southeast Asia. And going in the old town and the market every week, and just all those memories of the almost medieval atmosphere, they really stayed with me. So I started the violin at the age of 4. I was in a musical kindergarten with the Suzuki method, and so many of my classmates were playing the violin. We would have group lessons together. The Suzuki method is completely without learning the notes at first, so it was by ear. That can be very enriching because you have your complete own imagination of how music should sound. To me, Kronberg Academy is like the ideal place. Like if I would imagine a place to have all different varieties of concerts or chamber music or lessons and inspirations, it would be the Kronberg Academy. Of course, we have to showcase a very high artistic level. Also with my fellow colleagues, all of us are so busy traveling and performing, but then, for example, for the Mittwochskonzerte, we would have maybe 2 days of rehearsal in order to prepare a very large program. And during those times, it's just fascinating to me how we manage to sound like as if we have been in that ensemble for many years, despite having only had 2 to 3 days of preparation. Something that I appreciate a lot being in Kronberg is actually after having stressful schedules of playing concerts and then all of a sudden being in this very calm environment of Kronberg. It is a big luxury having the Casalsforum because it's basically playing at home, but just your musical home are two large concert halls, like some kind of calm oasis where you can just retreat and just focus on yourself if needed. I would say one of the responsibilities one could contribute to the well-being of the society is definitely making music more approachable and more reachable to parts of the society who are not as privileged. One example of how I'm trying to engage myself in the classical music scene in Malaysia is like basically partnering up with one of the orchestras. There's a philharmonic orchestra with many like with old and young players, but especially the young players are very enthusiastic. I'm also now working on projects in which I'm trying to give like smaller scale master classes in which I try to share my knowledge to ensure that the future of classical music is being preserved. Coming from my parents, like one of the Chinese cultural inputs would be that, for example, like obviously celebrating Chinese New Year and coming home and giving ang paos, which is like something like giving a gift in form of red envelopes because red is prosperity, or like always having a noodle dish to end the meal because noodles are for long life, or having a fish because fish symbolizes prosperity, and you need to catch a fish, and so it means that you will have abundant luck if you have a very big fish, for example. I would definitely be a dragon. Not only because you would be able to fly, but because it's just a very majestic a fantasy animal. I feel like dragons always seem to be very wise, and you kind of have the overview over everything. Just also the flexibility of their body, which is often portrayed, could maybe also coincide with the way I would approach music, always in a very flexible and very diverse way. Looking back, I would say that what actually matters less is what others do in your surrounding, or to compare what others have already achieved and you not yet. I would say that what matters most is that you just focus on your own way, and you just need to stay true to yourself, and you need to follow your wishes and your intentions, and you of course need to work hard for it. Always stay with yourself and just do what you love and follow your passion.